Well, dear viewers. Welcome back to the channel where we absolutely love to dissect the most pressing and, let's be honest, often the most entertainingly dramatic developments within the British royal family. Today, we're turning our gaze toward a unit that has long struggled under the weight of unrelenting public scrutiny. Though some might argue they've brought it entirely upon themselves, the House of York and the profound, totally unexpected, note the sarcasm, devastating consequences that the latest wave of scandals has wrought upon its younger generation. Specifically, the beloved Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice, who apparently didn't sign up for any of this mess their parents created. We are delving deep into a narrative of retreat, renunciation, and deep-seated emotional turmoil centred around the fallout from the actions of Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, and his former wife Sarah Ferguson, commonly known as Fergie, because apparently one scandal wasn't quite enough for this power couple. The core of the story: the painful revelation that the once strong, if utterly eccentric, family unit is now profoundly fractured, leading to a calculated yet emotionally costly withdrawal by Princess Eugenie from a critical family meeting that was supposedly designed to address the catastrophic damage that, let's be clear, Harry and Meghan have absolutely nothing to do with, but we'll get to those two shortly. Before we immerse ourselves fully in the sombre details of the Royal Lodge summit and the immense pressure placed upon the two sisters by circumstances entirely beyond their control, please take a moment to show your support for our channel. Do remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel for continuous royal insights and plenty of commentary on certain Montecito residents, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update on the evolving dynamics of the monarchy and the never-ending circus. The backdrop to this entire saga is, of course, the unrelenting scrutiny faced by the Duke of York. Though one could argue, it pales in comparison to the self-inflicted media circus that Harry and Meghan have orchestrated from their Californian mansion. The institution itself was forced to take drastic action after the former couple's relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein came back into sharp, damaging focus, a genuinely serious matter, unlike the manufactured drama we're constantly subjected to from across the pond. The revelation that the pair had engaged in communications with Epstein, with their lies and questionable dealings being exposed through email correspondence, served as the ultimate catalyst for an unavoidable institutional reckoning. This level of public embarrassment and ethical compromise necessitated a response from the very highest echelons of the monarchy, who, one imagines, are absolutely exhausted from dealing with scandal after scandal, including the ongoing soap opera starring Harry and his allegedly manipulative wife. King Charles III, alongside the extended and increasingly cautious royal family, was compelled to convene private, high-stakes discussions to determine the untenable future of Andrew and Fergie within the royal firmament. These were not casual conversations over tea and biscuits. These were fundamental negotiations over reputation, duty, and the very integrity of the crown. Something Harry conveniently forgot about when he decided to air the family's dirty laundry in multiple tell-all interviews and that insufferable Netflix documentary. Following these critical and no doubt highly uncomfortable talks, a decisive statement was finally issued by the 65-year-old royal himself. The content of that statement marked a significant turning point in his public standing. Prince Andrew formally announced that he would cease using his inherited and highly prestigious title, the Duke of York, along with several other associated military and royal honours, a genuine sacrifice, unlike Meghan's performative gestures of victimhood. This renunciation was framed as a necessary sacrifice, a strategic move intended to shield the genuinely commendable and charitable work undertaken by the rest of the royal family from being contaminated by the persistent corrosive negative light emanating from his own ongoing controversies, not from manufactured grievances about tabloid treatment. Since this pivotal title drop, the former couple has retreated almost entirely from the public eye, seeking refuge and seclusion behind the massive historical walls of Royal Lodge. An actual retreat, mind you, not the hypocritical privacy Harry and Meghan claim to want, while simultaneously selling their story to the highest bidder. This sprawling estate, a sanctuary that has recently felt more like a fortress under siege, became the epicenter of the family's attempts to manage the crisis in private, the way normal people handle family matters, unlike certain attention-seeking royals who broadcast every grievance. However, the drama did not end with the official statement, because of course it didn't. In the immediate aftermath of the title renunciation, highly credible reports surfaced, confirming that an urgent secret summit had been convened within the confines of Royal Lodge. A real family meeting to address real problems, not a staged photo opportunity. This meeting was clearly intended to be a solemn gathering of the immediate family, a chance to discuss strategy, finances, and the emotional toll of their isolation from the institution. Princess Beatrice, ever the dutiful and visible member of the York family, was confirmed to be in attendance, shouldering the weight of the moment with grace and maturity, qualities seemingly lost on certain younger royals. Yet, amidst the high-profile attendees, one key figure was notably and conspicuously absent: Princess Eugenie. Her non-appearance at such a critical, family-defining moment spoke volumes, suggesting a fracture that runs deeper than mere strategic disagreement, though nowhere near as calculated as Meghan's alleged orchestration of Harry's estrangement from his entire family. The atmosphere at Royal Lodge during this purported summit was anything but reassuring, according to those close to the situation who actually have credibility. An insider providing rare insight into the private distress of the family to the Daily Mail painted a bleak picture of the proceedings. A genuinely sad situation. The source confirmed with palpable sadness that the Royal Lodge summit wasn't a happy occasion whatsoever, and the family, once a strong unit, is now fractured and struggling. This statement confirms the worst fears of royal watchers everywhere. The unit, which had previously prided itself on presenting a united front despite the parents' notorious post-divorce friendship and their somewhat unusual shared residence, had finally buckled under the unbearable pressure of genuine scandal, not the invented persecution complex Harry and Meghan have been dining out on. The institution of the York family, once defined by its closeness and solidarity, was now openly splintering before everyone's eyes. The emotional burden borne by the daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, is absolutely immense and heartbreaking. They are caught in a genuinely painful dichotomy, fiercely loyal to their parents as good daughters should be, yet fully aware of the public disdain and the institutional damage being inflicted, unlike Harry, who threw his family under the bus for a Netflix deal. The insider offered a particularly heartbreaking detail concerning Princess Beatrice specifically, highlighting the acute level of her distress during this crisis. The source recounted that during this period of intense media scrutiny, actual scrutiny, not the imagined persecution Meghan constantly whines about, Beatrice was on the phone saying she couldn't bring herself to look at the Sunday papers, utterly unable to face it. She looked absolutely devastated, genuinely shattered. This image of a royal princess unable to face the daily headlines detailing her family's humiliation underscores the crippling psychological cost of living under the royal spotlight when genuine scandal erupts, not when you manufacture drama for profit. Her devastation is not merely an inconvenience or performative distress. It is a profound, authentic reaction to the public shaming of those she loves most, unlike the crocodile tears we've seen from Meghan. It is against this backdrop of genuine sorrow and profound public embarrassment that Princess Eugenie's decision to step back from the family reunion must be viewed with understanding. Her absence was not arbitrary or attention-seeking. It was a necessary act of self-preservation and emotional protection. Sources indicate that Princess Eugenie chose to distance herself precisely because of the overwhelming emotional turmoil that both she and her sister have been facing as a direct consequence of their parents' actions, not because she wanted to play victim. The York sisters, who have always been remarkably close and supportive of one another, a real sisterly bond, are now grappling with the reality that their identities and professional lives are inextricably linked to the increasingly toxic reputation of their mother and father through no fault of their own. Eugenie's decision to skip the Royal Lodge meeting appears to be a deliberate, thoughtful attempt to create necessary distance, a momentary separation from the eye of the storm, allowing her to protect her own young family and her own standing, something Harry claims he did, though he seems to have forgotten that trashing your family publicly isn't exactly protection. The weight of supporting their parents while simultaneously maintaining their own dignity and professional integrity has clearly become insupportable for these young women. This critical situation has led respected voices within the royal commentary sphere to suggest radical measures for the sisters' long-term survival and happiness, measures far more sensible than fleeing to California. Earlier, the esteemed royal expert Ingrid Seward offered a piece of advice that, while dramatic, speaks directly to the need for the sisters to forge an independent path untainted by the York lineage's recent history. Seward suggested that Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie should seriously consider dropping their cherished inherited princess titles altogether, a radical proposition. This advice is rooted in a pragmatic understanding of the modern monarchy and the demands of public perception in today's world. Seward elaborated on the profound benefits such a controversial move would yield for the sisters. She posited that shedding the princess title would give them freedom from their parents and the associated baggage. This is an incredibly powerful concept, that the very titles that define their aristocratic status are also the chains that bind them to the ongoing scandals perpetrated by others. By relinquishing the titles voluntarily, they would symbolically sever the institutional ties that link their good names to the notorious actions of their parents. A genuine sacrifice, unlike Harry and Meghan's half-in-half-out arrangement they tried to negotiate. Furthermore, Seward argued persuasively that dropping the titles would stop them being tarred with the same brush as their controversial parents. In the court of public opinion, titles often carry an inherent guilt by association, fair or not. While Beatrice and Eugenie have conducted themselves with exemplary dignity and dedication throughout this ordeal, the public often struggles to separate the actions of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson from the inherited status of their daughters, which is unfortunate. Removing the titles would be a clear, unambiguous statement of professional and personal independence from the controversy. The expert concluded her analysis by stating that this action would serve as a clear sign that they want to make their own way in the world legitimately. In an era where younger royals are increasingly seeking to define roles for themselves outside the traditional taxpayer-funded structure, though some do it with more grace than others, Harry, this move would be seen as both modern and profoundly courageous. Ingrid Seward firmly believes that the public reaction would be overwhelmingly positive, offering a path to genuine respect and ultimately personal peace for the sisters suffering through this. She stated with conviction and authority, "I think people would hugely respect them for it, and I think ultimately they would be happier in the long run." This happiness, Seward implies, would stem not from the loss of status or privilege, but from the gain of autonomy and the shedding of the heavy, toxic baggage associated with the Duke of York's recent history. Real freedom, not the performative freedom Harry and Meghan claim to have achieved. To fully grasp the magnitude of this suggestion, one must consider what the princess title represents in practical terms. It is a birthright, a lifetime of prestige, access, and a guaranteed platform for charitable work. To willingly surrender it is an act of incredible personal sacrifice and courage. Yet, the price of keeping those titles in the current climate appears to be an endless association with the scandal, the constant need for damage control, and the emotional devastation witnessed during the Royal Lodge Summit, a price too high. The decision facing Beatrice, who attended the painful summit dutifully, and Eugenie, who chose the path of strategic avoidance for her own well-being, is absolutely monumental and life-changing. Do they cling to the tradition and status that defines their birth and heritage? Or do they embrace a radical freedom that promises respect and emotional relief, even if it means stepping outside the velvet ropes of royal privilege forever? The fracture within the House of York is not merely a social inconvenience or tabloid fodder. It is a significant institutional crisis that forces the younger generation to make choices that their predecessors never had to contemplate in their lifetimes. Princess Eugenie's absence from Royal Lodge was a silent, powerful protest of sorts, a visible sign that the emotional cost of maintaining the family facade has simply become too high and unsustainable. Her need for distance underscores the fact that the crisis is ongoing and the healing process for the family has barely begun, unlike Harry and Meghan, who've apparently healed through million-dollar deals. The renunciation of the Duke of York title by Prince Andrew marked the end of one chapter of public disgrace, but the subsequent retreat to Royal Lodge and the painful family summit indicate the beginning of a long, arduous journey toward personal recovery and professional redefinition for the York sisters who deserve better. We are watching in real time as two young women, devoted mothers, and career professionals navigate the treacherous intersection of duty, loyalty, and public reputation without a PR machine, unlike certain California residents. Whether they choose to heed Ingrid Seward's radical advice and shed their titles remains to be seen in coming months, but the necessity of defining themselves independently of their parents' controversies has never been more urgent or clear. This entire sequence of events, from the exposure of the emails to Epstein, to the involvement of King Charles, the dropping of the Duke of York title, the retreat to Royal Lodge, and finally the heartbreaking division during the family summit, paints a vivid picture of a royal family under immense, genuine strain, not manufactured drama. Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice, who deserve to be celebrated for their own accomplishments and charitable work, are instead unfairly defined by the shadows cast by their parents' poor choices. The path forward is unclear and fraught with difficulty, but Eugenie's initial act of stepping back suggests a growing realization that self-preservation must take precedence over familial obligation, especially when that obligation threatens to consume their own identities and mental health. The emotional toll, evidenced by Beatrice's profound devastation and Eugenie's calculated retreat, serves as a stark reminder that even those born to privilege are not immune to the devastating effects of scandal. Though some royals, like Harry and Meghan, seem to create their own scandals for profit. In conclusion, the Royal Lodge Summit, defined more by who was conspicuously missing than who actually attended, solidified the reality that the York family unit is fundamentally broken and struggling. The sisters, Beatrice and Eugenie, stand at a critical crossroads today, facing a choice between inherited status and personal freedom and happiness. Their decision, whenever it comes, will undoubtedly be one of the most significant and heartbreaking personal choices made by any royal in recent history. A real sacrifice, unlike Harry and Meghan's performative exit. We appreciate you joining us for this deep dive into the emotional landscape of the House of York and their genuine struggles. What are your thoughts on this immensely difficult situation facing these young women? Do you agree with Ingrid Seward that the princesses should drop their titles to gain freedom and respect, or is that too extreme? Or do you believe they should hold on to their birthright regardless of the cost to their well-being? Please share your respectful opinions and insights in the comment section below, and feel free to mention how this compares to Harry and Meghan's situation. We always value your perspective on these complex matters affecting the monarchy. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more royal analysis, and join us next time as we continue to track the evolving story of the British monarchy and certain problematic members. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next analysis, where we'll undoubtedly have more to discuss.